You're watching the Battered Fans Network.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 53 of the Battered Heat Fans Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Garan, and alongside me, as always, is Daniel Solana. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing terrible, man. Every time I stay up late for a game, they lose.
Yeah. These West Coast trips are rough, especially when it ends up in an L. And you know what, man? Going into the game, you're playing against the worst 3-point shooting team in the league, and obviously they would shoot lights out against the Miami Heat. This Miami Heat team, the roller coaster of a season, they are consistently inconsistent. They look like they're putting it together at one point, and then they look like crap the next. They have a really good month in November, and they have a really shit month in December. Like, there is no consistency here from anybody. Even Bam, that had a good game yesterday, has been inconsistent, probably more than anybody on this team. It's been really frustrating. And then yesterday, we just added to that. And they were in it more or less for the first half, but in the third quarter, the Trailblazers go on that 17-2 run, and Miami just playing catch up the rest of the way. It's just a frustrating night.
Yeah, man. It was the return of the third quarter, right? The return of the third quarter, and unfortunately, Portland was lights out yesterday. I mean, it was crazy. They shoot 33% threes. Last night they made 40% of their threes, 20 out of 50. And that was the difference of the game. I mean, the Heat just couldn't make a three-pointer. They shot 9 of 45, 20%. And that was the major difference in the game. I mean, they obviously they made 11 more threes. It's 33 more points, and that's the difference in the game.
Yeah, because the Heat rebounded decently. They had 14 offensive rebounds. The Trailblazers turned the ball over more than the Heat did, 18 to 15. But man, that 3-point shooting disparity was just too much to overcome. And even then, the Heat, they cut the lead down to like 7 in the fourth quarter. But then they started turning the ball over. Fontecchio had a turnover, Jaime had a turnover, and then they just took off again and ended up getting blown out late in the fourth. I'm trying to think of a positive, and I can't think of it. Simone Fontecchio is just a positive. Go ahead, give me a positive.
Bam Adebayo, man. Bam Adebayo had a big game. He had 30-something points in the game, 32 points. That's his career high.
Is it? That's his career high?
Yeah, at least for the season.
I got to check out what his career high is now, because that's wild if that is his career high.
For the season, yeah, that's the most points he scored in a game this season, 32 points. And, he didn't have his greatest game from the three-point line, 1 of 7, but he was fantastic getting to the free throw line, 5 of 5. He was fantastic underneath the rim. He had 3 offensive rebounds, a couple of putbacks, and he was fantastic last night. He was the only one last night who was ready to play the game.
How many did he have last night again? It was 30 what?
32.
32. So he scored more than 32 5 times in his career. For a max player, I thought that and I know that he's not a big time scorer, but for some reason I just expected like more random, like high scoring games. He's only scored more than 40 points once in his career.
Yeah, he's not a scorer, man. He does everything else.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I think that might have been that because it says here it was against the Brooklyn Nets on January 23rd, 2021. I think that he hit a game winner that day. So that as the buzzer went off, I can't remember correctly, but yeah. Well, yeah. So Bam is a positive. Simone Fontecchio over the last couple of games has finally seemed like he's finally come to terms with what he has to do. He's waking up. He shot 3 for 6 from 3. Nikola Jovic is getting playing time because Khalil Ware is out, but man, his arm went back to normal. We were talking about the Rookie of the Year movie and how he got injured, and maybe that turned things around. It turned things around for like 2 games, and now he's back to where he was. He's getting to the point where like maybe they need to look to trade him also. Like, there's so many players that I'm like, maybe they should trade him. Maybe they should trade Nikola Jovic. When Khalil Ware comes back and is healthy, he's not going to get any playing time because he's worked his way out of the rotation.
Yeah. I mean, last night was brutal. He was 1 of 7 from 3-point. And not only was he 1 of 7, but the misses were bad misses, Danny. They were terrible.
Airballed a 3-pointer.
Yeah, he airballed the 3-pointer and he hit the backboard on another one. And then he was short on almost all the rest of his threes. And not only that, but he missed 2 free throws that he was short on both of them. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if maybe he worked out before the game and his arm was sore or something was going on. But yeah, he's been absolutely brutal. I said it in our group chat. He's been brutal to watch over the last few games, and I don't know what happened, man. I don't know what keeps happening to this team where we get guys who end up going off for a couple of games, having some good games, and then they go back to playing brutal.
It's just a roller coaster, man. Who do you think was the worst as far as the plus minus goes? Just a guess in the starting lineup.
Wiggs?
Yeah, -28. Bam Adebayo was the best with a -6. Man, just a rough game. Even Norman Powell. I don't remember the last time that he didn't hit a 3. He was 0 for 7 from 3. You know what? Because this has happened so much, I think that's why I'm frustrated, because this game, if it happens like in early December after that good November month, I'm like, well, Portland was on fire, the Heat were cold, and it just happens sometimes. But because this is happening so consistently, that's why it's frustrating. Because this game is like an aberration. You'll never see Norman Powell go 0 for 7 from 3, or rarely see him go 0 for 7 from 3. Jaime Jaquez, only 4 points. Like, this game was, I thought, an aberration. Davion Mitchell didn't play. Khalil Ware isn't playing. Tyler Hero obviously is out. But in the grand scheme of things, they're only a game over 500. And the Utah Jazz they'll beat the Utah Jazz because the Utah Jazz are tanking at the moment. They are like the Sacramento Kings that they just got done beating. So they'll win, and then we'll come on here and be like, oh, Bam had a good game. Oh, maybe they're putting crap back together. And it'll make you feel good for a second. But then I forgot who they play after that. But then they'll come right back to earth, because it's like a roller coaster. They are too good to lose to the bad teams, but they're not good enough to beat the good teams. And that's a problem, because then you kind of get stuck in a state of purgatory right there in the middle of the pack. And you're, again, right, like we said yesterday in that should they rebuild episode, they're right there back in wondering if we should stick with this play-in team, because it seems like unless there are big changes made, that's where they're destined to go. They're not going to be in the draft lottery. They're not going to make it far in the playoffs. They're just going to be in the play-in. That's where I think they're destined to be, and they're destined for a first round dance with Duncan Robinson and the Detroit Pistons.
Oh, there's a few weeks left here before the trade line, Danny. So I think it's very possible that the Heat make a move before the trade deadline. I know that there's been rumblings again on the Giannis front, and I know the other day they asked him a question after the game if he was going to still be with the Bucks, and he said, for now he's there, but he has no control over it. So it was very interesting the way that he answered that question, and I think the Heat are stockpiling assets so that they can afford to trade Giannis, and they can make a competitive trade and beat out the New York Knicks, who are the other team who are obviously interested in bringing in Giannis. But the Heat right now can outbid New York. They have much better assets than New York does. Also, Norman Powell, like you said, 0 for 7 from 3. He had a 23-game streak where he was making at least 1 3. That was broken last night.
Yeah, man. Look, when you see that he goes 0 for 7, you know the shooting is terrible. So they got the Jazz coming up, which is a bad team. Like, they'll win that game, and because they're just 1 game over 500, and they'll keep somehow just staying right over 500. Then they got Phoenix, which has been playing well. They got Orlando, which is kind of like the Heat this year, right? Everybody thought that they would be much better, but they're only like a game or 2 over 500 themselves. And then they have 3 games in a row against the Chicago Bulls because of that game that got canceled for the wet court or whatever. 3 games in a row against the Bulls. That's your chance to get right there, because the Chicago Bulls aren't very good, but
they're streaking right now.
Are they?
Yeah, they're streaking right now, and they're right behind the Heat there in 9th place in the East. And it's gonna be interesting to play Mateusz Bucelis and Josh Giddey for 3 games in a row. and especially when they're streaking. So look, the Heat have a chance to make up a lot of ground in the East, especially during those 3 games against the Bulls. I think they can take 2 out of the 3, but it's definitely going to be interesting. It's definitely the weirdest part of the schedule. I don't think, and I can't remember a time where the Heat played the same team 3 times in a row as long as it wasn't in the playoffs.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's never happened. I mean, I'm just speaking because the only reason it happened is because of that game that got canceled. Because I don't think anything ever gets scheduled that way. That's a crazy turn of events right there. I'm gonna ask you this, and I think I asked you this like a month ago, and I'm gonna ask you again. What do you think are the 3 play-in teams? Without looking.
Right now?
Mm-hmm.
Nah, I saw it last night.
No. It's the same ones that always every fucking year. It's
Orlando,
the Heat
Miami, Chicago.
and the Hawks. The Heat, the Bulls, and the Hawks are cemented into those play-in spots every effing year. It's incredible. Those 3 teams need to blow it up.
I think the Heat
Because
get a bonus. I think the Heat get a bonus if they make the playing game instead of making the playoffs, and that's why they strive to make the playing game.
maybe there you go. You figured out the Rubik's cube because it's ridiculous, and it's always those 3 teams. Like it's incredible to me. Like I don't know. It's just a frustrating season so far. It's unfortunate because I expected more. And you know what the craziest part is let's say the Heat make a trade and it changes their season, and they can go on a little bit of a streak. They are only 3.5 games of the 3rd seed. So like you said, we still got some weeks until the trade deadline. If you make a move within the next 2 weeks, is it right at this point? Within the next 2 weeks, and you can make some changes, and you get rolling for like a week or 2, like go on a 6-game winning streak, you could be looking at the 3rd seed out of nowhere and completely change this season around. But the way I'm feeling, I don't feel like being optimistic. I don't feel like being optimistic right now. I feel like being grumpy and being upset. So I'm not going to think optimistic. Let's see how long they stay over 500, because that's what I'm looking at. I'm like, how long can they keep just inching above 500? Because it's creeping up on them.
Nah, they're gonna win the next 2 games and they'll stay over 500.
No, I don't think they beat Phoenix.
I'm gonna take the optimist road.
No, I'm sick of being optimistic.
That's fine. One of us has to be optimistic. The other one can be grumpy. I'll let you be grumpy this episode. I was grumpy last episode. So, look, I think the Heat have a chance to make up some ground here. I think they can beat Utah. I think they can beat.
They will beat Utah
on the road. Look, man, at this point, I'm not going to say they will. I'm not going to say they are. I think they can. I think we've seen them be, as we say, consistently inconsistent so often in this NBA season that I'm not comfortable saying that they are going to win any game. At this point, it's a maybe, but I think that they can. I think that they can beat Utah. I think that they can beat Phoenix. I think they can make up some ground, and then they'll have an interesting schedule as they head into the All-Star break in the middle of February.
Yeah. All right. Any final words there, Solana?
No, but I got to figure out a way to make you a little bit more optimistic, because I like optimistic Danny better than grumpy Danny.
I tried. I can't. Dude, you're playing against the worst 3-point shooting team in the league, so of course they're gonna shoot lights out. Like it's incredible.
But incredible. Of course, that's the Heat way, right? That's the Heat way. Make it as hard as you can to beat the easier teams, and
then beat the OKC Thunder.
Of course.
All right. If you're listening on audio, please leave us 5 stars and a comment. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll be back talking about beating the Utah Jazz and going up on this roller coaster of a season. So until the next one, have a good one.